Hi, Cherie.
Hi, Tessy. How are you?
I am wonderful. I am wonderful. Thank you so much.
Are you good?
Yes, really good. Thank you for making the time. Where are you and how are you?
Well, I'm at home at the moment. I'm working from home like so many other people. But luckily for me, because of my work as a lawyer is international work anyway, we do a lot of the stuff that we do online. So I'm having many more Zoom meetings like this, but a lot of my work is writing and researching, and I've got the setup here at home that I can do as well as anywhere else. So that's what I'm doing. I'm managing and coping with this interesting situation we're all in.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And thank you so much for making the time. So for everyone who do not know Cherie yet, Cherie Blair is the founder of the Cherie Blair Foundation for Women. She's a leading international human rights lawyer and a passionate campaigner for women's equality, and wife of former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. What an incredible, incredible bio. Of course, there's so much more, but I don't want to tell your story. I would love to hear your story from your words. And what are your passions, and how did these passions bring you to where you are today?
Well, I think my passion for human rights, and particularly my passions for women's rights, really started at the very beginning of my journey. As I grew up in Liverpool, and I mean, when I was born into a very ordinary family in Liverpool, I don't think anyone would have dreamed that I could end up living in number 10 Downing Street. But that's the strange things that happen in life. But perhaps the biggest thing that happened to me in my early years was when I was 8 and my father abandoned my mother, my sister and I. We were living with his mother in Liverpool. And I realized my mother found herself having to support our small family on her own. And for her, this was a particular problem because at the age of 14, her own mother had died. And so she had left school in order to look after her father, who was a minor, and her 10-year-old brother. So she'd stopped her schooling, and therefore she found herself with not many qualifications in order to make a living. But like many women in that situation around the world, she picked herself up. She found herself a job, first of all, at a fish and chip shop, but later on she managed to get a job in a big department store in Liverpool and ended up managing the travel agency that was in that department store. And from an early age, I knew the struggle she had as a woman to be taken seriously in business, to be taken seriously, for example, to get a loan so she could buy her own house. I mean, she was refused that in those days because as a married woman, without not living with her husband, they wouldn't lend to her. So I understood that for women, there are additional issues about how to succeed in the world that maybe men, which we know that men don't have. And so I was determined to prove to my mum and my grandma that with all the sacrifices that they made, that I was going to do my best to succeed in what I did. And I was very lucky to go to law school at the London School of Economics. Then I became a barrister, and turned out I was quite good as a lawyer, and I have been able to make a career. So now I'm a QC. I've been a QC for 25 years. But my passion for human rights, my passion for women's rights has always remained part of my practice. Whether what I do now today in my own law firm, where we do a lot of work about business and human rights, and whether, of course, through my foundation, which I set up in 2008, and of course, happy to tell you a little bit more about that.
Yes, absolutely. I want to hear all about the foundation. And thank you for sharing such intimate, beautiful memories from your past and talking about your mother. I personally didn't know that, and that is just so inspiring. And definitely you can say that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So you have definitely, you have an impressive bio, and you are very well known in the field of women advocacy. So moving on then from here, as you already mentioned briefly, can you tell us a bit about the foundation, please? When did it started? What is its aim? So it says in the name, obviously, Foundation for Women, but what does it actually do, and how can we support you as well?
Well, the foundation really came about from a number of things. Firstly, of course, obviously my own experience, because as a barrister, I am my own small businesswoman, if you like. And so I had learned through the 80s after I got married what it was like to be a working mum. At the time then with 3 children, and then when we moved into Downing Street, of course, 20 years ago, he's going to be 20 very soon, we had the first child born to a serving Prime Minister in over 100 years, 150 years actually. And so managing that was an interesting challenge for me. And the way I was able to do that, apart from great support that I had, is because I used technology. I don't know how it was that I somehow became interested in technology, but from pretty much when my daughter was born in 1988, I was introduced to technology, and within 2 years of that, I found myself chair of the Bar of England and Wales Information Technology Committee. So, and when my husband became Prime Minister and I moved into 10 Downing Street, I would never have been able to continue to work full time, which I did, if it hadn't been for the flexibility that technology gave me, the flexibility that I'm experiencing again today in these circumstances. And whilst I was in Downing Street, I had the opportunity to do more than just be a barrister, if you like, but also to be able to travel across the world with my husband, sometimes without my husband. And in the course of those travels, I would often be introduced, because of my interest in women's rights, to some incredible women around the world. And I soon realized that, you know, a fortunate woman like me who can use technology to help her run her business is in a much better position than some of the women I were meeting, who were much more, their struggles as women with their own businesses was much more like my mum's position when she found herself in a society that wasn't at that time open to single parents at all, and wasn't that open to women, you know, managing and having their own careers. Or perhaps some of the women I met were more in the situation that I was when I first started as a young lawyer in the mid-1970s, when people would say things like, you know, well, women aren't really suitable as advocates because their voices don't travel so far, or, well, of course, Cherie, you want to be a barrister now, but, you know, once you have a family, you know, you'll want to give all that up. So I could see these parallels from my own and my mother's experience in the women that I met. And when we left number 10 Downing Street, it could have just been a great experience for me, an amazing opportunity to view history in the making. But I wanted to do something more than that. I wanted to give something back. And to me, it seemed evident that there was a gap in helping women entrepreneurs, the women who have small and medium-sized businesses, who are employing not just family members, but beyond family members, employing people, helping build their locals' economies, being a very important part of the local community. And I thought, how can I help these women by using technology to gain some of the advantages that more fortunate women like you and I, Tessy, take for granted? And that came the idea. So the idea of the foundation is to use technology to help women entrepreneurs across the world get the training, the mentoring, the networks, and hopefully the access to capital that they need in order to make their businesses thrive and grow, so that they can redefine the future for themselves. But not just for themselves, because if we allow women to fully contribute to the economy, a research that my foundation did just the other year showed that we could add $5 trillion to the world economy if only we allow women to have the same opportunities to operate their own businesses as men. So this is a hugely important task, and technology is the key to that. So now, funnily enough, in this situation that we find ourselves in the foundation, we were already quite well positioned, because already we were delivering the programs that we were doing using technology. For example, we have a global mentoring platform where we match men and women mentors with women entrepreneurs. And because it's based on the web, we have, through our local partners, we have identified suitable women who could benefit from having a years-long mentoring relationship with an experienced person. So we are in over 100 countries in the world for that. And of course, it's all done on the web. So literally this month, we have just matched another 400 pairs, mentees and mentors together, who will start that mentoring journey this month, at the end of this month. One of our mentees says, my mentor is my invisible friend who walks beside me on my business journey. And what's been interesting, of course, is that at the moment, we're able to communicate with our women on our mentoring platform and with the women in our programs that we do in country. And we've been asking them, you know, what effect has the virus had on their businesses? And we've been able to collate that and produce some research to try and get some image of what women business owners need and what help they need at the moment. So we use technology, whether it's the mentoring platform. We have a great app on a mobile phone, which provides no more than 5 or 6 minutes, little bite-sized pieces of hints and tips of how to do business for women entrepreneurs. That we are doing at the moment in Vietnam, in Indonesia, and we're literally just launching it, thanks to generous donation from DHL, in Kenya this month as well. And again, we can go ahead with that and tweak it somewhat, but nevertheless we can go ahead with it because it is based on technology. So that's what we're doing. Let's see how we can help women around the world to do their business better and to achieve their dreams.
Wow, that is incredible. Definitely. Well, sign me up. I really love it. I think it's really incredible. And it's also, it's pretty...
Well, you should. We would love more mentors. We really would. Somebody like, all we ask for our mentors around the world is that they're prepared to give 2 hours a month up over the internet as a time convenient with them to help a woman brainstorm and problem solve about her particular business challenges. And we ask that our mentors, who we train in the best way to be a mentor, that they have at least 7 years experience in business. So anyone watching this who would be interested, please go to our website, and we've now matched in May. The next matching will take place in November, so there's plenty of time to be trained as a mentor and to really experience a one-to-one relationship with a woman entrepreneur. Most of our mentors, when we ask them what they've most got out of the relationship, is a sense of pride in what the women they've been helping have achieved, and also how much they themselves have learned, what they've learned about themselves and what they can do. Because for many people in business, you know, you specialize, and there's lots of other talents that you might have, but you don't necessarily always use them at work. With our women entrepreneurs, this enables this enables you to discover some of your talents as well.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, yes, definitely. And you know, it's such little time to give, and it has such a great impact. I'm sure that after people watching this video, that you will have definitely some people being interested in working with you, because I think it's so needed, and it is just so, as you say, rewarding as the feedback you got. It just gives so much back to the mentor as well, to really put back in practice what they have learned from other people too. We are where we are also because of other people, and I think it's important to give back. So thank you so much for that. The time has run out already, believe it or not.
Already?
I know. I just looked at the clock. I'm like, it's almost impossible. So I have a last question to ask you before you leave. We're in times of lockdown. There's so much happening, yet we have so many blessings in our life. There's so many beautiful things too. What do you have to share? What do you want to share with the people listening to this video at this moment in time?
Well, the thing that comes over, especially since we've been communicating with our women entrepreneurs, is the incredible resilience of women. And particularly at this time of crises, when so many, the difficulties that women have about being taken seriously, the difficulties they have of often being in particular parts of business which are particularly affected, whether it's retail or health businesses or education businesses that are being affected obviously by this lockdown, is the resilience of women. And the fact that on top of all that, as all of us do, and Tessy, I know you know as well as I was talking about my grandchildren, you have children, you also have to deal with the fact that the schools are closed and that we're working from home, and the children also have to be made sure that they're not suffering in their education as well. So the resilience of women is an amazing thing. And we're not going to be able to get the economy recovering properly without building on that resilience and ensuring that as a result of this lockdown, the bad impact of that isn't felt disproportionately by women. Because we know, don't we, that so many of the businesses that are closed and are now under threat of possibly not being able to reopen are industries where women are concentrated. And we also know that many women, if the schools are closed and the caring responsibilities, not just for schools, but for elderly relatives, also fall on women, some women will not be able to work. And so we need to ensure that when the recovery comes, that we have got ourselves in a position where actually the change will benefit women equally, if not more so than men, so that we can build that better, more resilient world that we look forward to in the future.
Wow, powerful words, and I agree with you entirely. Thank you so much, Cherie, for your time. I really appreciate it, and we keep talking offline, and I would love to work with you, so count me in. And then I wish you...
Absolutely.
Thank you. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day.
Keep in touch.
Keep in touch.
Take care.